While most people are busy watching headlines about politics, inflation, or the next tech race, Virginia has been pushing forward on something few Americans fully understand: a colossal infrastructure project designed to reshape the East Coast from underneath the waterline. This is the Hampton Roads Bridge-Tunnel expansion, and it is not a minor upgrade. It is a nearly $4 billion strategic rebuild of one of the most important transportation choke points in the United States. According to the Virginia Department of Transportation, the official price tag is about $3.9 billion, making it the largest highway construction project in Virginia's history. And once you understand where this corridor sits, what moves through it, and what depends on it, you realize this is not just a traffic story. It is a story about logistics, military readiness, industrial strength, and the future architecture of American power on the East Coast. At the center of this story is the Hampton Roads Bridge-Tunnel, the HRBT, the crossing that links Hampton and the peninsula to Norfolk and the south side along Interstate 64. According to VDOT, this corridor stretches across a nearly 10-mile segment that is now being widened and re-engineered through new tunnels, new trestles, and roadway reconfiguration. The original crossing opened in 1957, and a second tunnel opened in 1976. That means one of the most critical pieces of infrastructure in this region was built for a very different America: a smaller America, a less congested America, and a far less globally interconnected America. But today, this crossing is not serving a sleepy regional route. It is serving a modern economic and military artery under constant pressure. If you want to understand how infrastructure, engineering, and strategic mobility reveal the real strength of the United States, subscribe to the channel and hit like. Here, every megaproject tells a bigger story about national ambition, industrial capability, and the systems quietly shaping America's future. Your support helps keep these deep dive analyses coming. Now look at the scale of the problem this project is trying to solve. According to VDOT, nearly 3 million vehicles use the HRBT every month, and the crossing carries more than 100,000 vehicles a day during the tourist season. WHRO reported this month that the corridor is handling nearly 100,000 vehicles almost every day, and that the expanded facility is expected to support about 140,000 vehicles a day. That matters because this crossing was never built for that kind of demand. Historical VDOT figures cited through state and regional materials show that traffic was around 6,000 vehicles a day in the late 1950s. In other words, this structure evolved from a mid-century engineering achievement into a modern choke point under volumes that would have sounded absurd when it first opened. That is how bottlenecks become strategic vulnerabilities. And this is where the story becomes bigger than commuting. The waterway it spans is tied directly to the Port of Virginia and to Naval Station Norfolk. According to the U.S. Navy's commander, Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, Naval Station Norfolk is the largest naval complex in the world. The U.S. State Department says it is the world's largest naval station, with 75 ships alongside 14 piers and 134 aircraft on site. This is not symbolic importance, this is real operating mass. At the same time, the Port of Virginia is one of the most significant freight gateways on the East Coast. Virginia Maritime Association data from its 2025 State of the Port report says Virginia's ports support more than 730,000 jobs and generate $8.1 billion in state and local tax revenue. So when traffic stalls at Hampton Roads, the consequences are not limited to frustrated drivers. Delay here radiates into commerce, workforce mobility, freight reliability, and military movement. That is why Virginia did not choose a cosmetic fix, it chose a structural reset. According to the official HRBT expansion project site, the plan adds twin 2-lane bored tunnels under the harbor and widens key 4-lane segments along the corridor. According to VDOT's annual financial plan, the reconfigured corridor is being built around 2 general-purpose lanes, one hot lane, and one hot part-time shoulder lane in each direction outside the tunnel sections, while the 2 new tunnels themselves will accommodate 4 lanes of traffic. In practical terms, this is the transition from a long overloaded crossing into a much broader, more resilient system. The goal is not simply to move more cars. It is to restore reliability to one of the most important transportation corridors in the region, and the engineering behind it is on a different level from what many people imagine when they hear the word expansion. This is not a surface-level widening job. According to the HRBT project team, the tunnel boring machine, nicknamed Mary after Hampton native and pioneering engineer Mary Winston Jackson, is 46 feet tall, more than 430 feet long, and weighs more than 4,700 tons, or roughly 9 million pounds. WSP says the effort is the first tunnel boring project for VDOT and the second largest tunnel boring endeavor in U.S. history. The machine began boring in April 2023, and according to the official project update, excavation reached its final breakthrough in September 2025. These new tunnels are being built approximately 50 feet below the existing tunnels, creating a deeper and more future-ready route beneath a harbor that is becoming increasingly important to larger vessel traffic and strategic maritime operations. That depth matters even more when you connect this project to what is happening at the Port of Virginia. In March 2026, the Port of Virginia announced that dredging work had been completed to create a 55-foot deep commercial shipping channel and harbor, making it the deepest port on the U.S. East Coast. That milestone is part of the port's broader $1.4 billion Gateway Investment Program. Think about what that means. Above and around this region, Virginia is expanding freight capacity, deepening channels, modernizing port infrastructure, and beneath the harbor, it is simultaneously rebuilding one of the most stressed highway links in the system. This is not random. This is synchronized infrastructure strategy. It is the kind of layered investment that says the state is positioning itself not just to manage growth, but to command it. There is also a timing advantage here that many people miss. Major infrastructure usually becomes politically visible only when it fails, collapses, or grinds daily life into chaos. But this project has been advancing largely outside the national spotlight. That silence can make it look local. It is not local. It sits inside a region where road mobility, maritime commerce, offshore energy logistics, and naval deployment all intersect. According to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, peak summer traffic at the current HRBT exceeds 100,000 vehicles per day. According to Vinci Construction's project summary, summer backups have reached roughly 8 kilometers on the approaches. For a corridor linked to defense assets and a major port economy, chronic unreliability is more than an inconvenience. It is friction inside a strategic machine. And America's strongest systems are the ones that reduce friction before a crisis exposes it. The completion window also shows how close this transformation now feels. According to Hampton Roads Transportation Accountability Commission reporting from 2025, substantial completion remains targeted for early 2027, with final completion later in 2027. That means this is no longer some distant concept shown in renderings. It is an active, advanced megaproject already reshaping the physical logic of the corridor. And when it opens, the result will not simply be less traffic. It will be a more dependable East Coast artery connecting commuters, military personnel, freight systems, and regional industry through a crossing designed for the scale of 21st century demand rather than the assumptions of the 1950s. So what is really being built here? On the surface, Virginia is building 2 new underwater tunnels, but in strategic terms, it is building redundancy, throughput, resilience, and speed. It is reinforcing a corridor tied to the largest naval complex on Earth. It is backing up a port economy that supports hundreds of thousands of jobs. It is reducing exposure at one of the East Coast's most notorious transportation bottlenecks, and it is doing it with a scale of engineering that signals something larger about the United States itself. This country still knows how to think in systems, still knows how to invest in hard power, and still knows that infrastructure is not just concrete and steel. Infrastructure is national capability made visible. According to VDOT, the HRBT expansion is the biggest highway project Virginia has ever attempted. The deeper truth is that it may also be one of the clearest examples of how America quietly rebuilds strategic strength where it matters most. What do you think about Virginia's move here? Is this the kind of bold investment America needs more of, or is it a massive price tag that raises harder questions about priorities? Drop your view in the comments and subscribe for more breakdowns of the megaprojects, technologies, and infrastructure systems quietly shaping the future of the United States.